This is Back Roads of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. This is Back Roads of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. We're glad you're here on today. I am Cesar Delgado on today. We were going to be ready for Kansas City from NAFTA convention on next week, but we need to talk about the grains markets with Peter Meyer from Muddy Bootsack. We were talking about it with Peter, and I will be joining with Chris Gould from Illinois Corn Growers Association in Maple Park, Illinois. You're listening to Back Roads of Illinois. We were talking with Chris Gould, our good friend of the show from Illinois Corn Growers Association, and he is in Maple Park, Illinois. It is north of Chicago. Hey, Chris, how are you? I am
I'm doing very
sorry
well.
about
Thanks
your
for having me
mom
on,
during
Caesar.
the Farm Progress show. We didn't have you in Decatur, but I hope that she is doing well. Otherwise, we have a lot to talk about for right now.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom's made a nice recovery, so yeah, we're moving along. Thank you.
Chris, let's take a moment to talk about the trade in China for the last couple weeks ago in South Korea. What is your takes on it?
Well, it's certainly been a roller coaster for the last couple of weeks. We've gone from, of course, no new crop sales to trade agreement announcements between Premier Xi and Trump. The markets, of course, fluctuate daily in all this news. Um, I'm pretty sure as of this moment, well, the government just reopened, so we don't really know, but there haven't been any actual sales or for sure shipments of beans to China. So again, the roller coaster continues, and and whether this is a significant amount of purchases compared to historical numbers, that's a whole different discussion.
What is your thoughts on the corn demand to Mexico for right now?
Well, I think that's encouraging. Corn exports in general have been excellent. Again, we're a little bit in the dark because of the government shutdown. We haven't had USDA announcements on exports and sales, but I think that all starts, well, it actually started today, and we get our WASD tomorrow. So yeah, maybe we'll start getting a little bit more enlightened. This is the the absence of this information makes you appreciate it a little bit more when you do have all this information.
Of course, wait and see.
Yeah, I think that's all we can do right
Well,
now.
we don't want to be too political about the government shutdown from Congress, but what a mess with both parties. Chris, lack of support for the food assistance and restore the farm aids. What is your concern about the farm bill?
Oh gosh, lots of concerns about the Farm Bill. One is we may have seen our last traditional Farm Bill, but we don't want that. So we need to we need a Farm Bill that completes everything that didn't get taken care of in the continuing resolution, the one big beautiful bill. We need to maintain the coalition of urban and rural congressional support, which includes, SNAP benefits as part of the Farm Bill to keep that alive and well. So that coalition needs to be, well, rebuilt if it doesn't exist and continued if it does. Um, My other concern is that the Farm Bill is getting, with support payments and crop insurance premium subsidies, that it's getting so out of whack that it's really starting to distort good farming decision making. So again, that's a much deeper, longer discussion,
Uh,
but I think it's one we need to have.
How is the Illinois Corn Growers Association about the Farm Bill for right now with your delegates?
We actually have our annual meeting and policy meeting here in a couple of weeks to kind of freshen up our positions if there are any changes. Illinois Corn is for a free market. We're for free trade. Um, we are looking for the market to determine decision making by the individual grower. And I feel that with government policy, we're getting a little bit removed from that.
Right. So just let us keep coming about the government shutdown from Washington, D.C. How is your growing season in northern Illinois nearby Chicago because it is kin to dry for this fall? What is the yields in northern Illinois?
Well, I'll start with corn. I'm still kind of combing through scale tickets to make sure we have everything entered and compiled correctly, but it will for sure be a record corn crop for us, better than 2024, which was also a record corn crop for us at the time. Beans will not be quite as eye-watering, but I think that'll be a solid crop, probably a top three crop. So yeah, no complaints here from Northern Illinois, at least my corner of Northern Illinois.
The Bears are looking good along with Ben Johnson more than Matt Flew. Do you want to have a bet that they are going to be playoffs?
I don't know. I don't know if they're looking good, but I guess they're looking good or they are good enough to win. They're talking about, winning ugly and all that. I guess if it's a W, it doesn't matter. But it was, I'll tell you what, we finished picking last week, last Thursday, and it was nice to sit on the couch and watch the Bears and even doze off a bit during that game. And in the end they pulled it out. So yeah, it was a good Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I hope that we will be winning Minnesota.
It would be a big win for sure.
Yeah, that's fast. Alrighty, this is a fun show on today, but what is your final thoughts about the commodities markets and the crop report tomorrow?
That's a tough one. I guess I would just say we somehow you got to be ready for anything and everything. I mean, we've been out of touch for so long. Plus, even before we were out of touch, it was some surprising numbers. So somehow you have to position yourself to be ready for about anything to happen. And I'm taking some steps or have been taking some steps to try to be ready for surprises either direction. But yeah, it could be a very interesting report tomorrow.
Thanks, Chris. I am glad to have you for today at the show. I will be in Urbana-Champaign on February. Chris Gould from Illinois Corn Growers Association, and in May we were going to be ready for Kansas City FNAF convention on next week, but we need to talk about the grains markets with Peter Meyer from Muddy Bootsack. Hi, Peter. How are you today in Iowa? And how was the yield trends in Iowa? We heard about the yields in the mixed in Iowa.
Yeah, thank you, Caesar. It's nice to be with you here this afternoon. Um, yeah, I think the market, if we just back it up a little bit, the market is kind of prepping itself here for the crop production report tomorrow, which will drive the WASD. I think it's going to be very interesting. I don't think that the World Board that controls your demand side of the equation is going to do anything out of the ordinary. They're gonna rely upon the production side. So for your to your question, I mean, I'm on the western side of Iowa. Yields were kind of mixed. Certainly, that seems to be the trend in Illinois, Iowa, and Indiana. All states that when we last heard from NAS in September, NAS was thinking that they were all going to be record yields: 219 in Illinois, 219 in Iowa, and 205 in Indiana. What we hear a lot of is, and what we've seen. I mean, harvest in this area is pretty well done. It had tremendous potential mid-season, but then it didn't kind of materialize. So we're hearing a lot of comparisons to last year's yields in Iowa. Some guys in Illinois we're hoping to make last year's yields, and then Indiana was a little bit lower. So I mean, overall, I mean, the market, I mean, the last in the September report, we saw 186.7. I noted most of the media companies surveyed analysts in October as well. They brought it down to 185. Now they're down to 184. I mean, nationally, I would think, 182 to 182 to 184 probably catches it. On the bean side, bean crop is very good. Really some good stuff as far as beans are concerned. The last bean yield was 53 and a half. I guess the market's looking for 53. Okay, yeah, big deal. So I think really, the soybean rally and let's not kid ourselves, corn is being led by soybeans here, is really based on the possibility that China bought some beans. So overall, I think the yields are not quite as what we thought they were going to be, but they're fine. They're in line with last year.
Of course, the government shutdown is over. We were getting the report tomorrow since September. On August, everybody was pretty mad about the yields. That was big whip.
Well, I don't, they're mad about the yields because the yields were too high and they drove the price. You can't please all the people all the time. I mean, certainly, the yields are awfully high, but I think they were there in August. I really do. I don't, like I said in my previous comments. I mean, the farmers that we spoke to. I mean, I was on crop tour the last week of August. There was still, I mean, at that point, it was starting to turn back, basically due to southern rust. But there was a tremendous potential there, and we have to understand that in August, people are, they're measuring potential, and the NAS number that came out in August is based on, the vegetation index, NDVI, that plays a big part of it. That was extremely strong. It started to turn later on. So, I don't know what people wanted there, to be honest with you. I mean, even if we come out, let's say between 182 and 184 by the time we get to January, it's still going to be a record yield. So, yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, if somebody out there saw Southern Rust coming before the USDA did, good job. But so
Right. Peter, let's start with our conversation about your thoughts with today's deal in South Korea with China. I bet you are watching the beans markets, but what's your thoughts with the fundamentals from trade?
uh, you know, I'm not from Missouri, but somebody has to show me that China is going to buy all these beans. Certainly, the potential for them, according to the Secretary of Treasury and to the president, 12 million tons by the end of the year. There's no chance we're going to sell 12 million tons by the end of the year. 25 and 25, for 26 and for 27. Okay, still lower than we were in 24. So. I also don't like the fact that that China has also signed a new. You talked about South Korea, or North Korea. The fact of the matter is that I don't like the fact that they've signed another deal with Brazil. Yeah, so somebody's going to have to prove it to me. As far as a rally is concerned, in the absence of all the data. We certainly didn't get any export data during the government shutdown. It is my understanding, or the USDA has announced today, that while they're going to gradually release the weekly export data, they're going to release all the flash sales tomorrow at the same time as the WASDE. I have received a few calls today saying, why the hell are they going to do that? What was behind that decision? What's behind that decision, Caesar, is that, if the World Board makes any changes to the demand side, and specifically we're talking about exports here, they want to be transparent on the data. So the reason that they're releasing all the flash sales at once tomorrow at 11 Central, which is the same time as the crop production report and the WASDE, is because they want the market to see the data at the same time, quote unquote, that the World Board saw the data. Now, the World Board sees the data earlier, and the World Board probably has the data in their hands today on the flash sales. Today's the first day back to work for them. So I don't know. There are so many moving parts coming into the November WASDE regarding samples, crop samples that have been taken off of the objective yield plots, the surveys, the farmer surveys. Now we're going to get this data dump of export flash sales, but we're not going to get the whole export story for months yet. We have no idea what the commitment of traders looks like. The CFTC is back at work. So, I know what you're saying, and it makes great headlines, but there is so much stuff percolating underneath the surface that it's hard for me to draw many conclusions.
What is the technical aspect on the beans markets for the next few weeks, Pete?
I think that, if we agree that the yield is still 53, technically, I'm not a technician, but technically the market certainly looks good. I'd love to know what the position is, but I don't know what the position is because we have no insight into the commitment of traders and from the CFTC. And the last time we had a government shutdown, the commitment of traders came out like in pieces over months. So we're never going to get that picture. I think there's probably some length in the market. I think that there are a group of people that believe that China maybe, and including me, I think China might have bought 4 or maybe 5 million tons while the government was closed. Is that going to really, move the needle much? Probably not. Let's not forget that we've already rallied. I mean, we were down at $10 not that long ago, and now we're at 11.50 basis to January futures. We traded, made a new 5-day high today at 11.50. I guess we're going to close around 48 or something like that. So, a lot of the shorts recovered.
Yeah, I got you there, but it is a Gazette game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean everybody's trying to game it. But like I said earlier, I mean without the CFTC commitment of traders, I also don't know how the market is positioned at the moment. So we'll see. I don't. My whole point there, Caesar, is that I think that any sort of rally, if we get a rally, let's say to $12, and I think we can trade $12, but that's going to be dependent on demand and not on any sort of yield cut or anything like that, if that makes sense.
How is the planting progress in Mato Grosso? Do you have any updates from Brazil?
No, I mean it seems to be running at a little bit above normal pace. If you want to take the 5-year average, it's certainly been okay, but it's still way too early to be to be guessing on any sort of production issues that we have in South America. Certainly, I would expect at some point during the next 3 or 4 months that we do see a production issue in Brazil. We always do. We always see production issues in the U.S. as well. So I don't think the pace seems fine to me. So I don't really think that there's any story there. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, that's true. What is your final thoughts about this crop report from the Department of Agriculture?
Yeah, I hate to be repetitive, but there's so many moving parts. It's hard for me to get a handle on it. We're going to have more corn than we thought, based on the stocks report, which was issued before the government closed. The government has to go through 2 months of data in a 14-week period. The government currently, the USDA, and all facets of the USDA are currently working with much, much less staff than they used to. The staffing is down about 40%. I don't think that morale is any good after the shutdown. I think that morale also is taking a hit because, there's this relocation program they're talking about for the USDA. So I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to kind of digest everything from the export flash sales to what I think is going to be a lower corn yield to higher stocks coming in to picking apart the demand numbers. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be an easy one. I don't think it's going to be an easy one, but I'm just happy everybody's back at work.
Thanks, Peter. I enjoyed our conversation and good to hear from you again. Yeah, it's pretty tricky to be predict.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Caesar. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I wish you safe travels to Kansas City, and I hope you have a nice time at the Farm Broadcasting Association conference. I wish you all the best.
Thanks again, Peter. This is Peter Meyer from Muddy Boots on Back Roads of Illinois. Everyone have a great day, and I will see you in Kansas City for the National Association of Farm Broadcasting.